doing? It's Coffee Break with Jimmy. So much stuff is going on. We don't know whether the blockade is working. I mean, that's what Trump tells us it's working. They still haven't got a deal with Iran yet. Whether Iran really doesn't have any cards anyway to make a deal. But there's just so many things going on right now. I'm talking about California too. Look at the candidates here in California. Every one of them, their whole montage says that they got to get rid of Trump. Everything's got to stop Trump, and Trump's not even on the ticket. But there's just so many things. Fraud in every state. California, Minnesota. You can talk about fraud all day long and not get to the end of it. But all this stuff, what I'm talking about, it all creates stress. And stress, everybody deals with a little bit of stress. I get that. And the more you deal with stress, the better off you are. I wouldn't say the better off you are, but if you could deal with stress, and stress is my middle name. I've been dealing with stress my whole life. I got different things that I've done. Raising the kids, having a family, buying a home, having a business, doing all of the above. And stress comes right along with it. It's just part of the program. But one thing I always did to alleviate some of that stress was I would listen to rock and roll, okay? Now, rock and roll is because that's my type of music. I like, different. Judas Priest is my favorite. Of course, that's a little bit hard, a little bit metal. Sometimes, I just like listening to it, and it settles me down and makes me feel better. But there's a lot of songs out there, a lot of rock songs that I think everybody would like. One in particular, I heard it last night, and that's why I got this idea about stress, because this is what we've been dealing with. To this day, it's just stress is something we've all been dealing with. The cost of living is going up, everything's going up, insurance, everything has hit the ceiling. Gas, of course. I live in California. I pay more for gas than anybody else does. It's over $6 a gallon now, and so that all of that contributes to your stress level. Everything you think about. I watch the news and I get stressed just watching the news, just watching the different things that are going on. It's like, why can't anybody do this right? How come they can't figure this out? And that creates stress. But I tell you what, I listened to a song last night, and it really, that's what I started thinking about. It's Pink Floyd, Uncomfortably Numb, okay? That song is such a good song. It's a rock song, and it's kind of mellow in a way, but it's hard, especially when they get the riffs that David Gilmour plays. When he plays his guitar riffs, his solos, man, they are so awesome. They just rip right through it, and they make you feel so good. That's just, I have become comfortably numb. That song is so soothing, and it also it soothes your stress. A lot of songs do. Music does that in general. I don't know much about rap music. If rap music does that, helps you release your stress level. But I know there's some rock songs and there's some country songs that relieve stress. Some of those country songs, they actually make you cry sometimes. But that's country music for you. But we all have a certain amount of stress that we deal with. And I think the less stress that you have, the better decisions that you make. You're stressful, and you're just all stressed about whatever the case may be, whatever you're thinking about. And then you start thinking about things that you have to do. And if you're really stressed, it's just, for some reason or another, just doesn't come out right. So if you can calm your stress level down and keep it down to a minimum, to where you can actually think clearly, it makes the decisions you make makes them so much better, okay? It makes your decisions better, because then you have more clarity on what you're thinking about when you lower your stress level. So sometimes, and I just think, sometimes some good music, that particular song, Uncomfortably Numb by Pink Floyd, is one of those songs that do that. I have, you hear it every time you hear my podcast, my intro to my podcast is Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple. And I tell you, there's that song. I used to love listening to that song. I had a little MP3 player that I would plug into my ear. And I'd hop on my Harley. Of course, my Harley is a 92 Heritage Softail. So I would sit in my bike. I didn't sit on the bike. I sat in the bike. So I was real comfortable. I had my little mini apes. They're not hangers like this. They're just mini apes. They're just right here. And I sit back and I have my forward controls. I stretch my legs out, real comfortable. Got my shifter, got my rear brake. And I would go when I'd go through the mountains. I'd cruise through the mountains. And I would listen to Perfect Strangers. And if you ever heard Perfect Strangers, the whole song, you could see what I'm talking about. You could almost feel, if you listen to a song, you could feel me or yourself maybe riding your Harley, riding just cruising, just hitting the gears. Oh, that felt so good. But that's sometimes rock and roll, sometimes music in general. Makes you feel so much better, and it lowers your stress level. And the less stress you feel, the better decisions that you make. So that's really, I was thinking about this last night. I mean, I was feeling pretty stressed about it. I was trying to put a podcast together. What I'm going to do. Everything that I'm going to be talking about is pretty much old news. Everything about Iran, everything about the California, the governor's race in California. Everything is pretty much the same. The governor's race Steve Hilton, I think, has the best ideas. I think he would make the best governor, and he would change things around. And California needs a change. We need a change here in California. And that delivers a certain amount of stress right there. I've been dealing with this all my life. I've lived in California all my life, born and raised. And so I would say, he says 16 years. I say more like 20, 25 years that California's been run by Democrats, and it hasn't made it any. Their policies have not made California any better. The thing with Iran has to be done. And Trump, please, Mr. President, don't stop. Complete this thing. Get rid of that leadership there in Iran, because the mullahs cannot stay in charge. If they stay in charge, they're still going to want to kill America. They still want to kill Israel. They're still going to try to get a nuclear weapon. They're going to do everything they can. You got to get those guys out of there. They've been here since 1979. I remember I was in the Marine Corps when all this happened, and it's been going on ever since. And Trump has been the first president with any kind of balls at all, with any kind of guts. And I don't know how this guy deals with all this, with the stress level that he has to deal with. But you know what? You think about that. You think about the stress that the president has to deal with on a daily basis. All the things, all the irons in the fire that he has. This guy handles it better than anybody I know. So I think this Iranian thing, it's going to come to an end. I said on my last podcast, it might last a few more days. It might last up to a week. But they will get rid of this regime and someone else. The Iranian people want another regime. They want to do something differently. They want their country back. They want freedom back. That's what they had at one time. And that'll. I can't think of anybody that has more stress than they do. They probably live this. I mean, I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night. You wake up with a cold sweat saying, oh, what was I thinking about? And it's stressful. Something I might have been thinking about. Could have been anything. But it all contributes to the stress. So listen to some rock and roll. Ride your Harley or your motorcycle, or take your car for a drive. Take a ride in the mountains. Usually in the ride in the mountains, going on the curvy roads and just kind of cruising, makes you feel a whole lot better. When you feel a whole lot better about yourself, your stress level will drop. And that's what you have to do, because stress also kills too. Stress, people just can't, it's just something that you don't need. You don't need a whole lot of stress. You can't go without stress. Everybody has it. I don't care who you are and what you do. Everybody has a certain amount of stress. But how you deal with it and how you curtail that, when you keep it down a little bit to where you make yourself feel better, your stress level will drop. So listen to some rock and roll. Listen to Pink Floyd, Perfect Strangers. I just took a shower. My hair's still dripping a little bit. Listen to Perfect Strangers of Deep Purple. I'm sorry, that's my intro to my podcast. Listen to Perfectly Numb by Pink Floyd. That song right there is the epitome of calmness. And then you listen to David Gilmour in that lead. He's got all that lead that he plays. It just rips right through you and makes you feel so good. So if you don't know anything about rock and roll, please look up Pink Floyd, Perfectly Numb. Listen to that song. It'll make you feel good. I guarantee it. Anyway, this is podcast with This is Coffee Break with Jimmy. This is my podcast. Please subscribe. Hit that alarm bell. Press like and share, please. And comment, please. I want your comments on this. Stress is something that everybody deals with. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Left, right, center, it doesn't really matter. Everybody deals with a certain amount of stress. But please comment. So this is Coffee Break, and hit that notification. I will see you next time on Coffee Break with Jimmy. Thanks.